even though some people want us to believe otherwise, that the people are not suffering any losses, particularly the protagonists in all these crises. People like Simon Ekpa don't want us to believe that anybody is suffering losses as individuals, that it's only the government that is suffering losses. But the truth is that the loss is humongous, just on every side, on the government side, on individual side, everybody is suffering losses. So getting to arrest the situation in the Southeast requires level-headed thinking, not only on the part of the people, but on the part of government. And one of the critical issues that's lingered is that ostensibly, most people in the Southeast are angry because Nnamdi Kalu was agitating for the autonomy of the Southeast, has been held incarcerated for so long. And despite court judgment by the courts to release him, the government always finds a way to keep him incarcerated. And the question is, what is government achieving doing that? You know, the IPOB, which he represents, being tagged a terrorist organization, and he indirectly is linked to that. But attempts have been made to find political solution, and I think this new administration needs to really look at this matter critically. And I think that one of the releasing Kanu may douse the tensions there. But my fear is that IPOB leadership has actually lost control of those they recruited as their foot soldiers to actually fight this, to implement or procure the agitation for the state of Biafra. So the control is no longer there, because even when you call them back, they don't listen to you anymore. And you now have two different voices. If Kanu is released today, what's the guarantee that somebody like Simon Ekpa will not tell people that unless you give us Biafra, we cannot let we cannot let these people we cannot call them back? Because we've seen situations where you say people should sit at home, the governors counter it, and the people are afraid to come out because the reign of terror has been visited on the people. So this is a sensitive issue. Southeasterners feel very sensitive and touchy about this matter. But it's a time that they have to look, time for introspection. They have to begin to look within themselves and see what really, really works for them and talk to themselves. And because the truth is that nobody is benefiting from what is going on. And even if you want a state of Biafra, there are challenges to getting it, as far as the constitution exists and so on. So you have to find ways in which you can push your case without hurting yourself. I mean, it's a matter of like cutting your nose to spite your face.
All right, thank you so much, Joseph. Thank you so much. That's in reaction to the story from the Vanguard newspaper. Reps call for Kanu's release to end insecurity in Southeast region, and that's the chairman of the committee on House of Representative ad hoc committee set up to interface with security agencies to reduce kidnapping, assassinations, and banditry in and around Isikwato and Umunochi local government area of Abia. And that's as a fallout of that. So let's go over to AB as you're ready for us now. Let's see how well, just give us accurate angles, because we know from your professions, when you go for construction, you make sure your angles are acute. So let's see how these angles are going to be like this morning when you walk us through this story from the Punch newspaper. Tinubu intervenes in UAE visa ban, Emirates airline crisis. That's what the story is talking about. Okay. I think AB's line is frozen, so we have to go back to Joseph. Walk us through before we get AB back on the line.
Yeah, it's a welcome development. For quite a long time, Nigerians have suffered as a result of the muzzle flexing between our country and the UAE. And who suffers at the end of the day? Both sides. There are losses in business.
Yes.
Both sides. Okay, AB is
the
back.
process of credence from 3. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Apologies.
you are.
Okay, go on.
Apologies. Good morning to everybody. Very quickly. The president received letters of credence from three people, three different countries. One of them was the UAE. And I just want to connect this to the earlier story Joseph spoke about. As part of his conversations on the sidelines after receiving them, the president said he wanted an immediate resolution towards the crisis in aviation and immigration sectors between Nigeria and the UAE. And that shows that a president has the capacity to seek, demand, and expect an immediate resolution of any problem in any sector that he deems important and makes a priority. So just to piggyback off what Joseph said, if indeed the president wants an immediate resolution of the issues in the Southeast, it will be well within his capacity. Just putting that aside. Now, when you compare the GDP of the UAE, which the entire country is about the size of Obalende on a lighter note, and Nigeria, the UAE actually has a larger GDP than Nigeria. They also evidently have a more focused government that is focused on doing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Abi, you have to drop and probably reconnect. We'll meet you back once again. Joseph, please, can you just help us go through this, take us through the story finally? Yes, okay.
Within their laws, they have different governance systems and all that. And
all right, that's the connection for this morning, but Abi, you're back.
Okay, I will reconnect to the other line. Thank you.
Go on.
Elsewhere.
You can unmute now.
Okay, forgive me. I was having glitches. Forgive me. So just to summarize, if I may, the GDP between Nigeria and UAE, they actually have a higher GDP than we do. And the size of the entire country is the size of literally Obalende. So ironically, we have an opportunity to certainly benefit from economic ties with them. But as I said earlier, I don't know whether I made that point, that the president said he wanted an immediate resolution of the airline and immigration issues. So the president can also ask for an immediate resolution of the Southeast issues if he chose to make it a priority. I think with his marching order, it is very possible and very likely that we will look into some of the things that have caused challenges between Nigeria and the UAE, especially to do with the airlines. I understand there's a lot of money that they say they have earned, and Nigeria has refused to pay them, and many other airlines. So hopefully in the next week, month, we ought to see some resolutions coming, because the envoy from that country is very enthusiastic and hopeful indeed that we will resolve it. Never forget, Nigeria is one of the sources of immigration to that of immigration and tourism to that country. So they too stand to benefit from better ties between us.
Thank you, AB, for all the updates there. Now let's
It looks like the virus is caught.
0981. Okay. So once again, the number would be on 0809-444-09814 WhatsApp messages. Joe, you're going to take up this story for us quickly, and this one is coming in from the Punch newspaper. 92% of Nigerians informally employed. That's according to the NBS.
Well, it's not surprising. The truth simply is that economy is in the woods. I mean, we are in doldrums right now. And so most employers are only shy employing people in the formal way. People are just getting people hired more like casuals. But then the informal sector, which the report talks about, agriculture and all of that, is becoming like a bag, how would you call it? A backup to people, because people are now returning back to agriculture, and it's not accidental, because the regular sources of income is actually being eroded by inflation. So what is happening is that people are having to look back or where they can easily go to get revenue. If you plant crops and you reap the crops and you can go and sell and you make some money and you can feed your family. So it's easier. Even individuals could grow more crops now for their household needs. So the informal sector that's possibly one of the benefits of all the hardship, is that people are beginning to look, become more introspective, and they want to go back to check, what can I do as other sources of income to what I have? And in those days, most civil servants and workers, they had farms, they still farmed, and they are able to augment their salary with whatever they got. But we've got carried away with oil wealth in this country. Everybody felt we should just sit down, money will come running in. And so we neglected agriculture. And experts have always pointed out that this is one of the biggest strengths of Nigeria. We've got the land mass, we've got what it takes, we've got arable land. So all we need to do is just activate the agricultural sector and make it more organized. Over the years, a little more effort is being done in trying to mechanize, but it's still not very subsistent farming that we've been doing. But even then, it's still helpful because it provides employment for people and also puts food on the table for people. So it's not surprising that this is happening at this time when people are facing serious hardship and economic hardship.
It's interesting that this paper picked up this angle of the story when we know that others have run with the headline that was been screaming that the unemployment figure in the country dropped about 4.1% or thereabouts. So it seemed like this paper is seeming to say, no, this is where we should be looking at. That's what. So you want to give AB has a bridge to connect to this one quickly.
Yeah.
In fact, fundamentally, what happened was that Nigeria changed the metrics by which employment or unemployment is measured, so that when the same NBS used to report Nigeria's unemployment at 33%, we changed the metrics. So now it looks like we're now at an unemployment rate of between 4.1 and 5 point something percent. So fundamentally, Nigeria has decided to identify as a low unemployment nation. Because
this is according to the ILO, so that's what they're going to.
Other than those metrics, I don't know that from day to day, people have suddenly felt that much of a drop in the unemployment level. 33 to 5 would mean that we are dragging unemployment figures with America. We are dragging. And hey, I'm not arguing with the metrics. I'm just saying the feeling, what they call the real feel on the street. I'm not sure that's what they feel that, because if you're at that kind of low unemployment, then literally jobs should be looking for you and you should be having your choice between them. But let's take the story as it is on face value. We've identified as a nation of low unemployment.
Okay, Abi, this story is waiting for you, and thankfully you're in Delta. You should be able to break this down to pieces for us and leave us with just the details now. Troops destroy massive illegal refinery in Delta State. That's according to the Guardian newspaper.
Yes, this story has emerged where security forces say that they saw a place, what you call those illegal refineries with lots of equipment where people conduct illegal refining of petroleum products, and they destroyed it. And the statement that caught my eye was according to guidelines. I must say that thus far, based on the historical reports we've seen, I am not familiar. And that does not mean that those guidelines don't exist, but I have not been familiar with the guidelines before now that said that they should destroy property, burst tanks, and allow the products flow into rivers, and in some cases, set fire to them. I do not know whether those are the guidelines that they were adhering to in this case. But suffice it to say, there was a report of quite an extensive operation of illegal fuel and hydrocarbon products refining and all that. They stumbled upon it, I'm sure with useful intelligence, and they have taken over the place. They said the people involved, of course, upon sighting them, all fled, and they're looking for them. What I would really like to know is, what are those guidelines? Are those guidelines set up after those huge fires that have polluted the environment, or after? And in that case, was it with those old guidelines where hydrocarbon products were used to pollute the rivers and smoke was polluting the air? Or is it a better way now where, in my view, you can capture the products and destroy the equipment thereafter?
Thank you, AB. It's time to reach out to the listeners. We see the messages coming in very much right now. So we say, once again, you can be part of this conversation on Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1 by sending your message up to the platform 0809-444-0981 is where we hope to get the messages. I still got AB Bozimo all the way in Delta, and Joseph Obari in Abuja doing justice to the papers for us this morning. So let's go to Dan Okuda from Igondo. Good morning, the crew. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu is the panacea for lasting peace in the East. Kanu is well respected as a true leader in the southeast of the country. That's according to Dan Okuda from Igondo. And next pops by, we've got Abbas Oladepo saying Nnamdi Kanu, who called for killings and burning of government facilities, is who we are calling for his release. There are so many videos out there where he asks his foot soldiers to kill certain people and target security agents, which was actually done by them. And we seem to have forgotten some of the crimes. And Simon Ekpa, that we are calling for his head now, is doing the bidding of Kanu, or what Kanu had been doing before he was taken in from Kenya. A majority of the people of the Southeast region praised him to high heavens when he started the whole thing. Now the chicken has come home to roost and we cannot contain it any longer. And that will be enough to get in this message. Good morning, crew. Quick corrections. Nigeria's GDP is slightly larger than that of the entire UAE. That's from Olatunde Akinwumi. UAE is more than 2 times greater the size of the entire Lagos state. AB was when he was just being sarcastic when he went down to reducing it to Obalende. I was at that point. AB, the level you are at this Friday is just something else. But let's move on. But thanks.
It's the wappy level in him. That's right.
So we just hope that anyway. Joseph is a lawyer, so if the emir or the sheikh of the UAE comes for you at this level, because they might even be listening, it's a global village, AB, it just definitely, Joe will take up your case. Let's see. Michael Adetutu says, even if Nigeria changed the metrics, a lot of youths and adults have left the country, and that's enough to drop the unemployment rate, irrespective of metrics used. That's a fact he just pointed out now. A lot of jackpot has happened, so that's the thing. Then next I've got Ro. He says, good morning, Smooth Breakfast. I must say I really agree and like the balanced analysis of AB he gave on the president's reaction to the UAE's issue of the resolution, drawing the analogy of his ability to resolve the Southeast issue, though, too, if the interest and the will is there. And I disagree with the analysts who keep making Southeast issue the Southeasterners' problem. However, the bandits' Boko Haram issues in the Northeast and northeast of the country is a national problem, simply double standard. That's according to Lady Rowe. Now, we'll take a break from all of those and get back to the messages. Let the messages keep coming in as we go now to who's part. So you, Joe, you're making the pass next, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the ball comes to you now with this next one. Yes, Lagos trains civil servants, others in sign language. That's according to the Nation newspaper.
I was so delighted to read this story because Oftentimes, when it comes to public communication, the needs, in fact, generally, the needs of this people living with disability is never taken into consideration. Most planning in Nigeria, starting from our roads to buildings and so on, their needs are never considered. Now, for a government organization to think that, oh, there should be government workers who should be trained to be able to listen to people with disability, well, it's just so beautiful. And like was the officer suggested that they might have to, in due course, have a cadre of people who will cater to the needs of disabled persons spread across ministries and departments of and agencies of government of Lagos State. It will be, I mean, like a watershed development in service to the people. Because now just imagine somebody who has challenges talking or hearing, goes to a government office and is trying to say, I have a problem, and everybody is like, well, we don't know what you're saying, all that. Nobody can communicate to him, and they send him to the Lagos State Office of Disability Affairs, first of all, to go and report there, and then they have to hold him, to go and resolve his issue. Time is lost. But if you have a desk where somebody is already familiar with the language and can communicate with him, he'll be able to know his challenges and then direct where the solution can come from. And I think this is what public service should be like, be more empathic, be more interested in solving people's needs. I think when we are solution driven, we are able to serve better, and that's expression of love as far as I'm concerned. And this is something that Lagos State government should be commended for.
So after 3 days since they were sworn in, I'm going to AV. Okay, you want to chime in on this quickly?
I just want to add, the measure of a society is how well we treat the most vulnerable of us. And as a matter of fact, in some of the foreign societies, it is enshrined in the law, especially like Joseph said, in buildings. Everybody should be able to access every part of the building. And so you must have ramps and all that. In fact, in the public toilets, a person on a wheelchair must be able to use the toilet unaided. And if you don't do that, the building owner or manager is subject to sanctions. Indeed, as an architect, you can't even submit a plan that will receive approval if you don't provide for the people who have some disabilities. So I think that's, just like Joseph said, that's an excellent initiative, and it must be followed through. Every one of us in society needs, demands, and deserves attention when we need it.
This brings us to what I was talking about earlier on, just to put a preview to it. It's been over 3 days since they were sworn in, and one man hit the headline, and probably that's literally hitting the ground running. And so his job is cut out for him. This is the first litmus test. And now the Premium Times report saying Abuja building collapse, 2 deaths confirmed as Wike, the mayor, if you like, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, orders arrest of the landlord. Take it away from here, baby.
First of all, I want to say that 99.99% of buildings don't collapse. And so you have to know that when a building collapses, it is a result of a number of things that went wrong. There are any number of reasons why a building can collapse. I understand it was during heavy downpour. You have some design flaws, you have some construction flaws, you have some material flaws, you have some usage flaws, you have the environment. Maybe when it was built originally, there were certain assumptions, and then after that, they went wrong. You have wrong assumptions about the substructure. Suffice it to say, in this unfortunate incidents, 1 more building has collapsed and 2 individuals have been lost. A tragedy of monumental proportions. So Wike, it is the building that had hit the ground. Wike has come running. Now he's there. He has immediately ordered for the arrest of the owner. That building must have an owner. It's apparently in an older part of the city, where not some of the more modern areas of Abuja, but that notwithstanding, there are buildings. I think before the fire that happened to the Notre Dame chapel in France, that building was 1,500 years old or thereabouts. So age is not a reason for a building to fail. processes have gone wrong, it's important that we learn what happened, why it happened, take measures to prevent it from happening, and then indeed look around the environment, because sometimes you might find that a vein of fault may have gone into other buildings in the area or done around that same time. We must have a proper registry of buildings. And then I always hear this thing, this building was constructed without approval. Let's ask the reason why can't, you see, a building is not something like a cup of tea that you make in about 3 minutes, including the time of boiling water. A building takes a long time, lots of logistics and materials to construct. Where are the approval authorities when the foundation is being dug? Where are they when it's coming up to the ground floor level? This is a 2-story building. It's not a secret. This building was not smuggled onto the site and just unveiled behind a wrapper. So when you say the building was done without approval, who were those who were in service at the time the building was built? Do they still have salaries and jobs? We're going to look for the owner. We're going to look for all the professionals involved. We're going to look into the structure. But there were people who were earning salaries when that building was going up. Concrete takes 28 days to set. At least by the time you build the upper floor, it took 28 days before they continued. It didn't just happen. So I hate hearing this thing where they say the building had no approval. Who was in charge at that time? Wike, I can tell you, I can trust. And he made a threat. Any other building under distress shall be demolished. Take Wike at his word. He's not a man. In fact, Wike's motto should be, they play, just they play.
Okay.
I just want to give a little background.
Before you give us a quick background, just also because you are a lawyer, help us distance Lagos away from this, because we hear there is a Lagos connection in it, and that is just to say that they said it's a Lagos street. So you are a lawyer, so Lagos is not part of it. It's
Lagos is a verified idea. It's just
it's just a street name.
The point is that at the time, this is one of the oldest buildings in Abuja. I mean, this section of Abuja is actually. There was already a plan to relocate people from there and demolish those houses. It's a lapse on the part of the city development control agency that was supposed to, first of all, move those people out and demolish the buildings. So the government, the minister pointed out that this was something that has been pending. But the point is that in Abuja, I think maybe because of the soil nature, houses that are built in those days, maybe they were not doing soil testing. Blocks just put into the ground as foundation were just like drinking water. So you go to some of those houses, you see green algae on the wall and all that.
Capillary action.
Yeah,
capillary action. Water coming up.
All right, gentlemen, this is where we must wrap this the show up at this hour. But let's say thank you to Abbas Oladepo. I see Godwin from Bagada. I see Shegun also. Dima Puza from Surulere. I see your messages, but we just have to say it's a wrap on the show this morning. And thank you to Joseph in Abuja.
Thank you, sir.
And we just want to we also, I hope Abuja residents are ready to be entertained in a couple of years, because it seemed like there'll be.
It's going to be fun. Rock it all the way.
And thank you so much to AB this morning. And I hope you're holding up very well in spite of the issues going on right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lagos. Sorry about the network issues. You guys have a wonderful weekend ahead. All right, bye-bye.
And you too.
And that's a wrap on Freshly Pressed for this week. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning. Goodbye.